Yo, what's up, people? Welcome to our live stream. Today, we're going to be announcing the winners for the January Art Dare, and we're also going to be sharing with you what the March Art Dare is going to be. And if you would like to learn how to turn your artistic weakness into your strength, check out artprof.org, where we have lots of free resources, tutorials, critiques, pro development, and all that cool stuff. So, Clara, why don't you get us started with the entries for this past month?
The January Art Dare was to draw your imagined future self at 114 years old. And it was so fun to see all of the entries. And what was funny is so many of you did yourselves still making art at 114 years old. So we certainly have that from Jonalyn Garcia, who is inspired by their maternal great grannies. And Jonalyn wants to live simply like them: Filipino traditional bamboo house with a farm, getting served with beautiful scenery. But Jonalyn explains that they're the only person in the family who's into art, and that they will be a centenarian who still makes art with a cat. And Jordan, what I love about this piece, there's so many hidden gems throughout these compositions because we can see the whole thing here, but aren't these little details wonderful?
Yeah, I always love seeing what kind of things they can put in the background because the focal point is clearly the portrait or the figure drawing and maybe the little space on the desk. But this the drawings outside on the wall, the little tray next to your body, like all those things I think really add to the cinematic feel of this scene. It's great.
And what a cool technique that this has such rich line work with pen. But I think things like the marker tint in the curtains in the upper left, some of the patterns of color that are on the wall, it's hard to do work that has black and white parts and color parts. But what I like about this is it really shows the context that Jonalyn is going to be living in. It's not just about your body or what you're doing, but it's about a whole life. And that
Mhm.
is such a wonderful holistic take on this topic.
Yeah, I think everything just kind of merges together. You have the artwork, you have the figure, and just how that all is connected. I think that's a really clever solution, and I love how the colors separating things and making the figure pop out, especially.
And thank you, everybody, for all these wonderful comments. The way you all support each other is just fantastic for these streams. So, this is a piece by Shambhavi. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, who explains many times we run away from death, live as if it doesn't exist. My art uses the fact that mushrooms are decomposers to it that relate with death. And this is very funny because the current art dare is mushrooms. And so there's a little bit of a crossover here. And they're explaining my art reminds everybody about the truth of death and why we should live each moment to the happiest. So, what do you think about this piece?
Yeah, I think it's really cool, and I like the overall concept about running away from death and eyes representing truth. There's a lot of subtext that could be given there. There's a lot of really deep meanings, and so I'm glad you were able to find an illustration that you could put that into.
And what a different interpretation, because a lot of people assume, oh, a portrait, it must have me in it and what I'm doing. But this is more an overall take on, well, hey, the whole concept of death, because if you're 114 years old, you're pretty close, unfortunately. It's not like you've got 8 decades left or anything like that. And sorry to get deep, but death is hovering over us. We know it's inevitable. And to be that close, I don't know. I always suspect, Jordan, I'm either going to be absolutely terrified or I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, whatever.
I try not to think about that for myself too much. I just don't want it to be painful, whatever happens.
Yeah, a lot of people say that they're okay. Well, not, I don't know. They know they're going to die, but they just don't want it to happen in a very painful manner. Like a lot of people say, I just want it to be quick. Whatever happens, I don't want it to be something that takes a really long time. So I just thought that was
Yeah.
brilliant. Thank you, RB Dick, for the super sticker. We so much appreciate your support. Keep those super chats and super stickers coming, everybody, because those little bits, they're incredibly important to us. So keep those coming. Seven Angelic says I'd be fine being 114 as long as cyborg bodies are on the table, full Ghost in the Shell. And
Oh
Paula
my
says
god.
I skipped this art dare because the image of myself at 114 freaked me out. Oh, I know. I just, guys, I'm 46 and I'm already feeling the creakiness in my joints. I can't imagine being
You know,
114.
I was looking in Guinness World Records Target the other day, and I think the oldest living person today says 118.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah,
extraordinary. I can't even wrap that around my head.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I could do it.
Next artist is Emily Paxman. And I just love that Emily referenced their still living 93-year-old grandmother who could serve as a window into Emily's future. And how lovely that eventually Emily started drawing themselves in a futuristic greenhouse and used the photo of the grandmother as a reference. And I just love this because I guess I've always been very sad that I never met my grandparents, and neither of them on both sides. They all passed away before I was born. And I look at the way my kids interact with their grandparents, and it just makes me sad that I feel like I missed out on all that. Did you have grandparents around when you were growing up, Jordan?
I knew two of them. Two of them I had either never met or died before I was born. So so I can relate in some ways to what you're talking about. But I will say that for this art dare, using your grandma as a reference, I think is brilliant because you have the same bloodline. Chances are you probably look similar, and you can use that as fuel for you. I think that was a great solution because it's hard to picture yourself 100 years older than you already are. It's difficult.
Just use one of those TikTok filters. There's one going on right now that makes older people look like their teenage self. I'm like, dude, I know what I look like when I was a teenager. I don't need a filter to explain this
Oh
to
my
me.
goodness.
It's so funny. So tell us in the chat how many people here had grandparents, because it's just such a lovely relationship. The way that, I mean, my kids are spoiled rotten when it comes to their grandparents. But what I love about this portrait that Emily did, you can feel the energy.
Yeah,
The
no, there's some
face,
great.
some
Yeah.
sort of,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
you
there's a
go.
lag. My bad. No, there's a lag. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I was going to say that people equate your age with your energy level. Like, oh, young people are always very energetic, older people are tired. I'm like, dude, age has nothing to do with your energy level, because I look at my mother-in-law, the bread fairy, and she has so much energy and she's always like, "Oh, I've slowed down so much." I'm like, "What?" Don't you find that hilarious?
That is pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know what it's gonna be like for me because I'm always running around doing stuff. I imagine by the time I'm 70 or 80 or 114, I'll be very tired.
Yes, absolutely. And what a beautiful feeling of light in this piece, because you have the greenhouse. I love all the props with the little plants and everything. And I think, Emily, you really set the scene. I think it's a beautiful piece. Okay, so the next piece is by Madeline, who says, the piece is not just about themselves, but what their artwork would look like in 91 years. And so Madeline painted the shelf of all the art projects and says, I hope by the time I'm 114, I will actually have a shelf that will look a little bit like this. I have never had this thought, Jordan. What will my art look like that far in the future? Have you ever imagined that?
No, not once. I'm tr- my goal is to make sure my artwork looks how I want it to now. Picturing it, 70, 80 years in the future is just it's something that's not in my realm of thinking at the moment.
And I really love just the activity. You see so many different things. There's pottery, there's a sculpture. Madeline also has the painting that's on the easel. And I just thought this was such a great take on the art dare because I sometimes I think about, am I still going to be doing this art prof thing when I get a lot older? And I'm like, either I'm going to be still doing it or I'm just going to be on the couch watching Benedict Cumberbatch movies. I have no idea where it's going to go. But
Of
one
course
thing
you
I
are.
do, yeah, I'm doing that anyway. But one of the best things I think about being an artist is that a lot of artists do make art their entire lives. I mean, look at how Degas and Matisse started going blind towards the end of their lifetimes, but they were still making art. Whereas if you're an athlete, you're sort of done by the time you're, I don't know, baseball players when you're 40, even that's sort of old.
Mhm.
This is cool. Artist Zena says, agree, energy is not age related. My college students complain how tired they are. One of the guys I see walking is in his 70s, goes to the gym daily, and follows his dog. Yeah, I think I have more energy now because I don't know. I just feel like I understand how precious time is because I'm like, I can't waste this hour I have to make work. I got to get it going.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how that happens. I knew someone who met Stan Lee at one point, and when he was back in his 80s or something, and he said Stan Lee would like jump down flights of stairs and just have a whole bunch of energy. And dude's like 80 something, 90 something. So I guess it is what it is.
Soyton Lee says Benedict will be 103. Do you think he will still be your heartthrob? Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know what it is about men, but a lot of them just get better with age. I don't know. Like Hugh Jackman
I've
still
heard
looks
that.
amazing. And oh my gosh, Pedro Pascal is like my age. And I'm like, oh my God. It's just, oh my God, he just gets better with age. Okay. Next artist we have is Sarah McGill, who I believe is here live with us in the chat. Awesome. So glad to have you here. And Sarah explains that she loves observing details in nature, everyday scenes, two Boston Terrier dogs. And Sarah, like Emily, says, I was thinking of my Nana, who stubbornly bought a puppy at 80 years old, plus my regular dog walks. Can't imagine a day to day life without the dogs. And I just love these little scenes, and we can see Sarah's thumbnail sketches here. What do you think about this one?
Oh, that is so precious. That I love that. Just the dog always right there, right up close, ready to be pet. And then you have the pink puffy sweater on, all the green leaves and stuff behind you. I think that's awesome. I love it.
And oh my gosh, how funny the little details. This little panda over here. You have these planets and the little cat pattern and even the pillow that's in there. I just think this piece has so much personality, Sarah, and it's such a lively composition. This one's so different because it's an outdoor scene, but isn't that landscape gorgeous?
Yeah, I love the colors in the trees. They're amazing. You have blues, you have pinks, you have yellows, greens. It's just going across the whole spectrum.
And actually, Sarah says, I have some of that stuff on my desk now. Hey, it's funny. Certain objects stay with us for such a long time and they become incredibly important, even though it's just an anatomical head sitting on your desk. It's just there. And I feel like pets are sort of the same way because we have Buddy, who's a dog that just joined our family, and he's just always there. I don't know. There's something comforting about that.
Yeah, it's actually nice. Sometimes Ace will come in and lay down on the floor and not do anything. He'll just lay there. And something about it is very comforting. It's very peaceful, to see him at peace.
Actually, I confess, I never understood the pet thing before. I always was told by my mother, oh, pets are dirty, they're gross, they're a pain in the butt. But then Maggie came to live with us, and I sort of fell in love with her and the whole, I guess, existence of she's hanging out, she's like sleeping on the couch and everything, and she's hilarious. So I totally get you, Sarah. The way dogs really can feel like they are part of your lives, the way a person might be a part of your life. So I just love that. We have some prizes to give out. Honorable mention goes to Emily Paxman. Thank you for participating. We were so thrilled with your illustration. And the prize goes to Jonah Lynn Garcia. Thank you, everybody, for participating. I love the way everybody engages together and supports each other in these art dares. Fantastic work, everyone. All right, let's talk about the March Art Dare. And this is a funny art dare. And I love, Jordan, that you're on the stream with me because the art dare is printmaking. Use any printmaking technique you can think of. And certainly I will help you with that. Now, I am an extremely experienced printmaker. And this is actually one of the first prints that I did when I was in art school. It's a lithograph. There's me. I think I'm 19. That picture, I look like a baby. I know. Actually, no, this is one of the first prints I did. This is an intaglio print. It's a dry point, and I did it winter of my freshman year. So yeah, you can see in the print it's from 1995, the last century. So I'm extremely experienced. Jordan, I suspect you haven't done printmaking. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I did one class, color lithography, when I was at RISD, and I was a junior, and it was painful.
Oh.
It was a painful experience.
Wait, I didn't know you did litho.
Yeah, it was one of my out of major credits that I had to use up, and I didn't know what else to do, and so I took that class, and I had no idea what was going on. I took so many notes, and I was like, "What did this woman just say to me?" My teacher, like, I had no clue what's going on. So I was happy to pass that and leave, to be honest. I was like, give me my pencil. Give me my pencil back.
Yeah. I don't think litho is a good entry point into printmaking because it's so complicated. Grinding the stone and the testing and all the, oh my gosh, it's really, I mean, for experienced printmaker, it's hard. So if that was your first and only printmaking experience, I get why you've never done something since then.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I forgot about the stone thing. Oh my goodness, that was a lot.
Oh, it's the worst. Tell us in the chat, how many of you here have done printmaking before? And if you have, what techniques have you done? Because Manette is asking, is there a type of print that's inexpensive and doesn't take up much space? Yeah, it's funny, Jordan, because I'm used to working in professional print shops with big presses and all that fun stuff. But the fact of the matter is, most people don't have access to that. So actually, a lot of the work that I've done here at Art Prof is to do printmaking at home because most of us are working at home. You are, right?
Everything I do is at home. I've never worked in an office.
So a lot of the techniques that I've done, the tutorials here are with the assumption that you're working at home. You're not working in a professional shop because it's just not a very common experience for a lot of people. So what I've done in this slideshow is I have started with the most simple, accessible technique, and then I've gone all the way to the ones that are a lot more complicated that all can be done at home. By the way, Anna's excited about this art dare. Thank you so much. And so, Jordan, what would you say to people who say, okay, totally foreign, never picked it up? It's intimidating because you feel like you don't know what's happening, but how do you make that leap so you don't feel so intimidated? Any thoughts on that?
Honestly, it's sort of just like jumping at the deep end of the pool. You just kind of got to get it over with and just go straight in. I think I struggled because I was so stressed about the other classes I was having and a grade attached to it. With this art dare, that's not really the case. I mean, yes, it's a month-long project, but no one's going to get an A or a B or an F or whatever for putting their work in. So I would just say, take a deep breath, jump at the deep end and have fun.
Neil says, I carve pieces of styrofoam with a hot metal stick, made really crappy stamps with acrylic paint. Does that count? Absolutely. A stamp is a print. If you go to the store, you can buy stamps and make a piece from that. Nobody says that you have to make everything from beginning to end. On the other hand, this is printmaking without printmaking supplies because the supplies can get very complicated. So this is just me And you can see it in the stream I just showed. You just take a piece of bubble wrap, you paint acrylic, and you press it to the paper. That's a print. And that makes it a lot less scary, because a lot of the times the reason why people don't do printmaking is, I don't have a jelly plate. Like Neil's saying, I can't afford rubber stamps or jelly plates. But trace monotypes, you can totally do this. You need a sheet of paper, a pencil, you roll out some ink, doesn't have to be printmaking ink. You could probably do, even oil paint would work with this. I mean, your prints wouldn't be archival. But Jordan, how is this different to you compared to, say, the pencil drawing I'm doing here?
I mean, I guess the biggest difference would be, if I remember correctly, the image comes out backwards, right? Like, it comes
It
out in
does.
reverse. So that trips me out a lot. Like, I remember spending so much time getting details on things when I was doing litho, and then realizing like, hey, it's gonna be backwards. So that tripped me out. Um, Other than that, I don't know enough about printmaking to be able to say like what is gonna be different.
Yeah.
It's kind of a difficult question for me.
So Minette's asking, so I could take a page out of my elementary years and make a stamp out of a faux potato. Yeah, potato prints. I think a lot of people did those when they were kids. So you can just, yeah, take a potato, sweet potato, carve it up, make a stamp. I think would be very exciting. So wow, we have a lot of people who have done printmaking. Seven Angelic says block printing and jelly. DC says linoleum. Artesina says collograph. And we also have Tofhick, stone, photoplate, litho, screen etching, lino, gel, medium transfer, paper, litho. Okay, you've done quite a range. But yeah, the jelly plates, I discovered these because I always thought that monotype had to be done with a press. But with a jelly plate, you don't need a press. You just press on top of the plate. And that really is enough. So give this a shot, because Jordan, let's say you know you're not going to be a printmaker. Is it still worth doing this for 1 month?
Yeah, I think so. 1 month out of a 114-year lifespan is very little time. So I figure, give it 30 days, try it out, and you might discover that you really like it. Who knows? You might find a new hobby for yourself. And if you don't like it, you never have to pick it up ever again. In the case of me.
This is another form of printmaking that actually I don't think a lot of people are aware, which is image transfers. And there's so many different techniques. This is a really simple one. Wintergreen oil lets you transfer Xeroxes, and I think it works with inkjet. I totally cannot remember, but you can get wintergreen oil at any pharmacy, and then you can do that. I wish I had time to do a tutorial on it. This is a little more complicated. You need a jelly plate, you need to have acrylic paint, but isn't that amazing that you can have that magazine photo on the left and then it turns into the thing on the right?
That is amazing. Actually, I always thought printmaking was fascinating. Like, even when I would see the demos from my classes and stuff, I always was like, "Whoa, that's so cool." I have no interest in doing it myself, but that's so cool that you can do that. Uh,
Well, there's that aha moment where it's like, woo, you pull out and it's like, oh my God, it's very dramatic that you really can have that experience. Charismatic says, I'm unfamiliar with printmaking in every shape and form imaginable. Well, it's time for us to bring you over to the dark side and experience printmaking in some form. Karasu says, do you know of a vegan alternative to a jelly plate? You can make your own jelly plate. There's recipes out there. I've never done it. The problem is that you have to keep it in the fridge because otherwise it gets moldy, which is gross. So I've always bought the commercial ones because I'm super paranoid about things getting moldy. So you do have to research that. Ginger says maybe Jordan needs to try it again.
Maybe he doesn't. Okay.
Yeah, I guess you don't have to do the art dare.
I
Paul is
gotta get
asking.
shower boxes.
Yeah, shadow boxes is more important. Paula says, what else can you use with jelly plates beside acrylic? Can you use watercolor? I've never tried watercolor before. You can, I think, use oil paint. The problem is oil paint will eat through the paper. So that's not a great choice. I've used the Akua and Talio inks, which are water soluble. And by the way, everybody, let me help you with this. If you're like, I don't know which is the best one to try, let me know and I'll help all of you in the Discord. So this is making a rubber stamp. And a lot of the techniques we're showing you now, we do have tutorials. This one is not super involved, but it takes more than a minute. So I would definitely keep that in mind. And DC says, I'll try it. I remember enjoying it in school, but my art skills, I think, have improved a lot since then. Yeah, sometimes having a little bit more of a skill base, it just makes you a little more confident to try new things. Do you think that's true, Jordan?
Oh, definitely. Because I'm already seeing some of the comments about my aversion to printmaking. A lot of it has to do with just not enjoying the first time and not having the skill to do it. And that can be said for many art related things. But yeah, I think the more skill you have, the more fun it'll be when you try something new, I will say.
This is our linoleum block printmaking tutorial. And linoleum block is a very good entry point for relief because you can get all supplies at a regular art supply store. That's not too difficult to cut, especially if you put an iron on it. It makes it nice and warm. And that way it makes it carve like butter, which is phenomenal. You do need a couple supplies though. You do need printmaking ink. You do need a sheet of plexiglass and the brayer, which is the thing I'm holding in here. So some of these, you don't need any of these tools. Others, like this woodcut tutorial, I just released this. This is very extensive. This is for people who are advanced and are willing to put down a lot of money for tools. And this is very time consuming. Like I just never thought I was going to finish this tutorial. Like I started it in December and it just never ended. So I realized this week, like, why am I feeling so relaxed? I'm like, oh, I finished the woodcut tutorial. Well, Ginger says I'm going to need help. Well, Jordan, how do we help people with this stuff?
Post in the Art Prof Discord, specifically in the Art Dares channel. And everyone here, I imagine, will be doing some form of printmaking, whether it's the medium you're trying to go for or something different. And I'm sure you can glean some cool info from that.
Let me help you because honestly, I hate to say this, but so much printmaking content is hidden in academia. For example, dry point. You can do this at home. The only issue is you do need a press, although somebody told me you can use a pasta machine. So I'm going to have to try that out. But this is pretty advanced. Like, this is not a technique I recommend if you haven't done a lot of printmaking before. You need a lot of specialized skill to do it very well. And this takes training. Like, you really have to study it quite intensively. So this is not a technique that I recommend. But like you said, Jordan, it is fun to see something. Like, even if you know I'm never going to do dry point, it's still fun to learn about it, right?
Yeah, I think it's fun to learn about. And I actually really like going on like Instagram or TikTok and seeing people just create cool things. Like I saw this guy make a guitar out of colored pencils. Like I have no desire to make actual guitars, but I think that's so cool to see. Or people who do ceramics, and like I love seeing people just make stuff. I think it's beautiful.
Art with Twix says, I did linoleum cup printmaking the other day at my local art museum. It was really fun. I've never worked with it before. Oh, Pat says I have a little pasta machine for flattening clay. Never thought to use it as a press. I mean, I just have too many projects. If I could, I would make a short and a full length tutorial for every single thing we're talking about, but I need a cloning machine. So, yeah. Okay. So, the Art Dare Leap is if you want to do something more ambitious, okay? You don't have to do this to officially enter. All you need to do is a single piece, but I know some people like to make it a little bit bigger. So we're going to say, try a printmaking technique that is new to you. Now, if you've never done printmaking, this is easy. You're doing the leap just by starting with something. But it is really fun. If you have some experience in one place, try something else. You're just going to expand your repertoire in a way that's great. Now, Jordan, you're going to get tech help from me in the Art Dares channel But a big part of this channel is not just tech support, but seeing other people's stuff throughout the month. Why is that helpful as a learning experience?
Well, I think a lot of it can come down to inspiration. I noticed that a lot of times when we create artwork in our own bubbles by ourselves, we can get stuck very easily or become unmotivated. And so when you go into the channel and see dozens of other people doing the same project as you and are coming up with all these different solutions, it often ignites a fire that helps you create and it helps you get unstuck. I noticed that same type of thing when I was in art school, where I would see what my classmates were doing and I'd be like, oh, I know what I can do because I was inspired by so and so's project.
Tell us in the chat if you've seen stuff in the Discord that you went, oh my God, that's so cool. I want to try that because we learn together. Okay. Learning, it can be a one person isolated experience. It's okay. You don't have to learn in a community, but there are so many perks, in my opinion, to seeing with other people and talking to them. And if you're nervous, just lurk for a little bit. Okay. You don't have to jump in right away. Just see what people are posting. But it is so nice when people introduce themselves. So consider that. Now, to officially enter, you want to tag us, art.prof, on Instagram. Use hashtag artprofdare. But if you don't have social media, we do have a Google form on the website that all of you can use. We do have space in these 3 workshops, and we continue enrollment until 2 days before the workshop date. So this is a composition and thumbnails workshop. This is running. It's Saturday, March 11th. That means we will keep accepting people into the workshop until it's full, or 2 days before the workshop. And the workshops are super fun because you get real time feedback. Because, Jordan, yes, the Discord is super fun, but why is it different to be on voice with us talking in real time?
It's probably the closest thing we could naturally simulate to a real classroom. When you're in class, you have your art up on the wall, and people respond to the work that you're making, the students and the professor as well. And so this is the closest you can get to us until we do like some sort of live event where everyone can come in.
And yeah, I wish I could fly you all out to Salt Lake City to do these in person. But in these studio workshops, you make something, you post in the chat, I talk to you, but you get feedback right away. Because other times in other contexts, you have to wait a couple days and then you get a typed response. And it's not the same thing to get it right away in real time on voice. So remember, these are all open, they're running. You can sign up anytime before the workshop. And to me, the more the merrier. What's happening tonight, Jordan?
Tonight, I'm doing a live stream. I had to take a couple weeks off because of events happening around my area, but I'm back. We're going to do some more characters. It's going to be 6 p.m. Tonight on the Joe McFo Show YouTube channel in Pacific time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, just in case. And so hopefully I'll see you all there.
Go hang out with Jordan. It's so fun. I come on sometimes because I listen to your stream and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm working. I don't know. It sort of creates a structure for me to work in. It's really nice.
Oh, well, thank you for coming. I appreciate it every time.
Yeah. So right after the stream, please join us in the Discord. We are doing a stage session. You want to meet us in post live stream stage. And this is an opportunity for you to chat with us on voice. I love hearing the voices from the community. It's just the most lovely thing. So I hope you can join us there. We do have many services at Art Prof. We have artist calls because sometimes you need individual support and advice. We have portfolio critiques as a comprehensive professional look at your portfolio, artist statement editing for your grant applications, your school applications, and this is brand new, personal art curriculums. People ask me all the time, I want to learn this, but I have no idea what to do first. And this is great because we have tracks that are free on the site, but this is like for you. This is, I review your portfolio, I see what I think you need to work on, and I actually make a whole curriculum just for you. So this is really fun. I'm excited to do that. Please join our Patreon group. There are so many cool things in this group. You can share your art in weekly voice sessions. We also you receive critiques from me. I don't critique in the public channels because I'll just go crazy trying to respond to everybody. So you'll get feedback from me and support in a small group of artists. Because Jordan, I oftentimes think that I love that our Discord is big, but it's so big that it's hard to make connections when you have 11,000 members.
Yeah, yeah, trying to find one person or a few people in a large sea like that is challenging. So the Patreon is much more focused, much more intimate, if you will, and people tend to know each other a little bit better and are able to follow each other's progress and encourage. So it's really great. It's like having your own little class. It's awesome.
It's, thank you to our top Patreon supporters. I cannot believe how loyal so many of you have been to us over the years. And I just am so, so appreciative to have your support. Visit artprof.org. There's lots of content in there that's not on YouTube. Use the search bar, it really works very well. Chances are, if you're looking for a topic, we probably have a video on it. So take a look at that. Art Prof has a podcast. It's available on Spotify and also on iTunes. And subscribe to our channel for more tutorials, critiques, and business tips. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.